back for this day for the next conference in the Auditorium, that is to boost one's SEO using one's contents and popularity. That's with Nicolas Mercatini, co-founder of SamJuice. Everybody, thank you for being here. Also, the people listening to us online. I am Nicolas Mercatier. I'm the co-founder of SamJuice.com. SamJuice, we support internet sites so that they gain visibility on Google thanks to net linking. The aim is to have them go in terms of references with keywords. So we define keywords with them. We started in 2017 and today we employ more than 40 people. I'm also PrestaShop ambassador since 2013. We are in Montpellier. Don't hesitate to come join us if you go by Montpellier. I'm also SEMrush ambassador, which is a marketing solution. We'll start with some reminders. We always think it's necessary to have visibility on Google. Why? Because 93% of searches made in France are made on Google. That's the search engine that is the most used. It dominates the market, and you've got to know that 91% of clicks are on the first page. So if you're not on the first page of Google, you're not very visible. So you've got to find a way to be there. And those means that's SEO. And you work on it by two ways. We've illustrated it as a tree. You've got the structure of the site, that's the roots, the earth, what the base lays on. In this conference, we're not going to talk about the technical structure of the site because it'd be a bit too long. The principle is that you are all in PrestaShop and already it's a solution that is well designed for SEO and performance. We are all on PrestaShop already. We've got a good base, a good structure, and the second element, that's the contents. This is what grows in Google results, but for that you need a solid soil. So structure and contents worked on site. You've got the off-site optimization and on site. So the first two are on site, and the third element, that's popularity, and that's the boost effect. Yeah, that's the fertilizer that will make the tree grow more rapidly. And it means you will be more visible in Google results. That was to present the thing to you. There's three elements: structure, contents, and popularity. And we are going to talk about the first two, the two pillars, that is contents and popularity. The objectives of content, that's to put forward products and services. It's what you want to propose to customers. It is also to improve one's visibility, and it's Google traffic. The aim is to have even more visibility on Google, so to have qualified traffic on one site and to develop one's brand awareness. The main goal is to convert and sell. Before all, you've got to define to whom you're talking according to the type of products that you sell. You don't have the same buyers, so you've got to define their environment, their family situation, their revenue, their income, the professional situation, values, their needs, their consumption habits, geographical data, their centers of interest, their personality, and their motivations to purchase. And so you create your persona, your typical customer and you write for that customer. So if you have products for senior people, you work on your persona in a different way. You have a more visible site. If you've got a younger audience, then it's something that is going to be more dynamic. So you've got to target your audience. Then you've got to tell your story. You've got to make yourself known, and you've got to make the relation with your audience more human. So you've got to define who you are, first of all, your positioning, and your strengths in comparison with competition. So you've got to keep a permanent watch on your competitors. What you've got to know what they do to be visible. To tell one story, you are in an e-commerce shop, and if you don't manage to know to whom you may sell, what is behind the internet site. People may be reluctant, but if you make the relationship human and you use storytelling, you are going to convert more. And you've got to define the right keywords. That's the most important step. It's from that your SEO strategy is going to stem. First possibility is to find opportunities for keywords. This is called the keyword magic tool, and it allows you to look at requests integrating keywords. Let's say you sell a particular type of products, and you have all the requests entered by internet users in relation to this or that keyword associated with your product. I don't know whether you can see, as an example, I've taken an organic shampoo. Keyword magic tool gives me an example with solid organic shampoo. So you may position a product that is associated with organic shampoo, best organic shampoo. So in relation to this request, there are many people who look for the best organic shampoo on Google, but then you may make a comparison the different products. The aim is to try and meet the intents of searches made by internet users. And the second method is to analyze the competition. Have identified competitive sites that are positioned on the same keywords as you, then you can take a tool like this that is going to detail how they are referenced, what are the keywords they use, and you may then realize that you've got some keywords that they use and they are well positioned on them, they've got a lot of visibility and you don't have them. So you have got to try and see which product you have could be as close as possible to what internet users look for, and then to try and use the same keywords. You've got to find keywords that may convert. The idea is to have keywords that have got a converting power and that match what you have in your catalog. You've got to wonder about the right things. Those keywords, are they likely to bring me some business? And once you've defined them, either you associate them with an existing page. Let's say you may have a page that is close to the request, so you may modify your contents to be better positioned for this request. Or if you don't have a corresponding page, then you create a new one. It can be an article to aim at this request. Targeted request equals a page equals an optimized content. So you try to have a page by request that you want to target, and the aim is to have contents that are the most complete possible, and if possible to use semantically optimized drafting. The aim is to, meet the largest lexical field possible. This is the capture of your text guru. For example, there you have black leather shoes, and you have all of the keywords associated. For Google, the more you use the keywords that are present in this sheet, the better it's going to position you for black leather shoes, because you don't repeat, X times keywords as it was the case before. It's not anymore in the different places. Stop doing that. No, it's about a lexical field, so it's more relevant. You give to Google keywords that are associated with the main keywords, and they like that. And those pages are better referenced than what was the case in the past. You've got the length of content according to the type of page that you may propose. So what is going to be the best referenced? That's blog articles, but it's not necessarily a good entry point. You generate traffic thanks to blog articles, but they're not going to make people reach a product page. So you may use them, but they've got to be a way for you to direct your customers to your page. In blog articles, to be well referenced, it's between 800 to 2,000 words. And you've got service sheet, landing page, that's between 1,000 and 2,500, and product sheets, 300 to 800 words. But and merchants tell me 300 words is not enough. There are in some cases it's a bit difficult, but content is what you feed Google, and you've got to feed Google with relevant and unique content. So a product sheet, you've got to have at least 300 words. It's the minimum to feed Google. And if you can draft a bit more, you can go up to 800 words. So pay attention if you distribute products that are commonly sold on the web, to not copy and paste a competitive site or the site of a supplier. Try and have a content that is unique on the web, because contents that are duplicated will not be positioned, and I see this often. And people copy and paste contents. Then you've got guides that can be up to 4,000 words. You've got category pages that are often neglected, but they are great landing pages. You can have text in the upper part, in the bottom, and you can position yourself on a type of products. And category pages will last over time. Your products may, disappear according to the stock you've got, to the different versions, whereas category pages will stay. You will keep them for a long time. So invest in them. The home page is very often neglected. It's the most important page in terms of SEO, because it's the entry point to your site. And if you don't have the right content on the home page, it penalizes your site, because the weight of the links in the home page will have less of an impact. Customer cases, feedback, that's very good. And interviews, you can integrate interviews in video or text. Do you everything for this slide?
There's short content, there's long content. I put a barrier around about the 1,000 words. There are various advantages and disadvantages with respect to long and short content. For short content, the It's easier to read and to consume. They don't need as much commitment from the part of the relevant audience. They also, and also people who just read want to come something that they read. They don't have to, spend hours in reading content. On the other hand, it's difficult to go in depth into a subject if the content is short. But the advantage is that they're going to have more, the more you give Google to eat, then the more then you're able to position yourself and position your brand and product. So there's got to be a better classification on the browsers with the words that you use, also more expertise that you're giving in. You go more into depth into the subject, and they also generate backlinks, and backlinks is good for your SEO. The more that you get, the more that you links you have to your site, and the longer they are, then they generate more backlinks than others. The disadvantages that it's a certain investment in terms of time. So sort of like I speed read. I speed read. I just look at the titles to look for the section that I'm interested in the most in order to go into depth. So if you've got long articles as well, make sure that they're properly structured so that people who are looking for a particular area can get there and access it quickly. Because the disadvantage as well, that it means that you have to have an attention span which is bigger, which is greater because of this. And also then long content, short content. The idea is to respond to the research intention that the audience had, and some are short, some are long. So there isn't a bad content or a good content. You've got to mix both. You've got to correspond and adapt to customer requirements. And as I said to you, the more an article is long, then it generates more backlinks, and backlinks are, and we're going to look at this later, this is better for your referencing. The more they're long and complete, then they're going to have links, and the backlinks are good for your SEO. And also, you can see that between 1,000 to 2,000, it's the best balances to strike as well in order to get them shared on social media. So it's long enough to make them interesting, but it's not long enough to make them to discourage users. And Google sees them, looks at the ecosystem which is around the social media and around your website, and it's good as well to have a buzz on the social media, and it means it gets shared and moved around a lot easier. It's good for your Google score. And the duplication of content. So this is the problem. Like I said, you sort of like content, like product content. If it's identical to other sites, you can have content duplication internal and external, and sometimes it can be a little bit. They can be a little bit too close. The content is too close, which isn't good for the products, and you've got categories of products which are far too. So you've got to use the navigation with facets. And you've got a special model which is advanced search for, which helps you, and this is what we use, and enables you to limit the number of categories, but also by letting a relevant mix there for the customer, so that the customer can see the products that they're looking for on the site. And I'll just give you an example once again. I'm quite tall. I've got size 48 shoes, and I'm 2 meters tall. So I've gone to a specialized website for shoes, and I look for town shoes, men, 48, and I get all the different thousands of pairs of shoes that are there. I don't have to go into all the customer, I don't have to go into all the product files to look for that. So navigating by facets enables you to have categories that are too close and to optimize the navigation and the browsing. And then you can also stop copying or plagiarism. Like if you've written a wonderful product description, which is very clear and it's the best to present one of your own problems, and then of course the competitor then is just going to steal your content, and this is going to be a problem because you've got duplication of content because of nasty competitors stolen your content. And you've also got marketplaces as well. If you're selling on marketplaces, you have to absolutely make sure that you have a different content from the content that you've got on your site. If you sell, well, if you're offering the same content on a marketplace, then you've got, if you've got them on eBay and Amazon, these have a very strong, these are really authoritative, so they recover the ownership of this product file, and you lose then visibility of your own site because they're the ones that are the four possibilities, and the others will redirect you automatically, because if you're accessible via all these URLs, then your site's going to be duplicated. The last point, these are dormant pages. These are pages that actually impair your site. Today, Google looks at the entirety of your site. If you've got pages on which are bad quality, these qualities are going to penalize your website. You really have to work and optimize all your pages, and not let pages just gather dust around the back ends of your site. And they're not optimized in terms of SEO. They're not optimized. They don't have links. They're not liked by the site, and they're a little bit far down. So in order to detect them, you can look in Google Analytics, which is going to give you the pages or list the pages that don't generate any traffic. And you can also look at what pages aren't properly positioned. You've got SEO tools which enable you to see which are your positioned pages and which are the ones that are not. And you've got a tool which enables you to facilitate this, is my hunking matrix, which helps you to detect zombie pages. They call them zombie pages, and they're going to list all the pages which cause a problem on your site. And this is really really easy and useful to use. And this gives you the various possibilities as to decide what to do with them. So you try to save as many as you can, and then you optimize these pages, and you sort of like make sure that they're relevant again. Then you sort of like improve you then mix it up there with pages that are a lot more visible on the site, because maybe they're a little bit too deep in, so you need to get it closer to the surface. And then if you can't, then you're going to get rid of the page, or you're going to merge it with another page. And so now we get on to the second optimization. This is popularity. And in popularity, this is associated with the Google EAT, or expertise antitrust. So these are the criteria that are taken into account by Google of the relevance of a site with respect to an ecosystem. And so the E is for expertise. Google thinks that you're reliable and you're an expert in your field.
Algorithm started 3 years ago. It's changed a lot of things. So Google does not only look at your site only anymore. It was the on-site optimization that mattered before, but now they can see the ecosystem around your site to know whether you're important or not.
So now the expertise principally comes from the quality of your content. This means that you have to create content which is going to please Google, but also your visitors. You don't just write for Google. You've got to take into account the intention of browsing before you start filling in. What is my ideal customer going to type into the browser bar? And what is the answer they're looking for? Then you're going to structure your content correctly and reveal the elements that are important, or display the elements that are important. You can use bold, or you can use bullet points, and Google loves that sort of thing. And you can this is what you have as well in your blog articles, and here where you can position your pages in the 0 position, and these are above the position 1 or above the natural positions in Google. So how to improve one's brand recognition. So brand recognition, this depends on the profile of the link. I gave you in blue, you've got your internet site with the host page and the products, and you can see around this, and you receive links, and you get links from the home page, because when you're talking about a site of a brand, and you've got categories, and you're going because you're on a program, etc., and you come to talk about a product, and you've got a link towards that product. So the links, this brings sort of like feed or flux towards it to that site, and it comes to your site, and it's going to push the page which receives the link. So there's an idea that you've got to have, which is internal matrixing and networking, and you've really got to make sure that you've got to avoid mega menus. These are these huge menus with all these different links towards the different sections. This dilutes the flux that comes into your site, and you've got to limit the numbers of links to the various pages to send this juice or flux, which has got to circulate towards the most important pages. And the pages which get the most flux, then it's the home page, and the home page has to send flux then to the most important pages, which are your category pages, and these are your preferred products and your main products. But these are the products that you've got to push so that they get the most flux, and so that they generate the proper answer. And the last little point with this EAT is how to improve one's credibility, and this is by this, which comes reassuring. It reassures your users. These are customer opinions, these are video testimonials, or logo of media. F1, for example, or your key numbers associated with to create reassuring factors. And this credibility, in fact, will also help you to work on your authority, because when you buy, for example, links, then there's the code, then there's the SEO, you get links, but there's also and this is also going to create credibility and reassure my audience and increase the conversion rate. So why these link strategy? Are they significant? Because it provides more authority for your website, and this is an algorithm which is new for Google, and which is important because a site today that isn't authoritative, which doesn't get talked about, then of course it's very, very hard to be referenced. So you have to improve the positions of the strategy of the links. It's going to push your keywords in terms of business to the top. You've got to define what the keywords are, which generate the most traffic for you, and the most turnover for you, and whether the more margins. This is the words that you're going to prioritize, and you're going to put them forward with your strategy. Now you've also the integrality of all these words that you use. Even if you try to push some keywords which are important, all of the site is also going to go up, because the whole site is going to gain in credibility and authority, and it's going to improve your branding. As we've been saying, if you're associated with a major media, or a major social media, then this is going to play on your authority, and it's going to reassure your visitors, and it's going to boost your conversion rate and your credibility. So all links are not equal. Sort of like these backlinks, I put them here on my slide. All the links are not equal. A link functions like a recommendation. If, for example, you've got a person who's respectable and influential in a sector of activity, and they talk about you, well, then that gives a good image of you. If, on the other hand, you're quoted or referenced by somebody who's not very highly recommended and who doesn't have a great reputation, then your reputation suffers as a result. So this is why all the references are not equal. Links, not all links are equal amongst themselves. You should have good quality links, even if there are only a few of them, and from sites which have a high level of influence. And what you should avoid, maybe I'm going a little fast, you've got to avoid having links which are on the same. If you're selling shoes, then you try to have fashion shoe links you try to, or people who are connects or who are relevant for your sector of activity. And you try to do it cleanly, because if you do it, it's risky business if you do too many. And when you try to mix the partners as well as you can and have the proper mix, avoid, for example, sort of like, you're not going to have links to 30 sites because Google is able to identify that they belong to the same owner and that the footprint is wrong. And you've got to take different partners, but from different fields, and you've got to try to make sure that there's a proper mix. This is what we do in Synjus. If we have 30 links, with 30 different partners, so that there's no footprint. And we have quality drafting. We look at what the people who are searching, what they're browsing, and they want, if I've got somebody who's looking for swimming pools, then I've really got to try to anticipate questions that a browser is using in order to be able to position my customer in the subject. And you've also got to remain natural, and you've got to reproduce what Google is used to seeing. And today you can kind of do everything with link strategy, but you've got to make sure you can be ensured as well that Google has all the tools at its disposal to identify what's been done. So a site which is referenced naturally and which looks natural, and
You try to stay natural. You watch link anchors. Those who don't know, link anchors, that's the text that is in the article and with which the link is associated. Link anchors have got to vary as much as possible. And backlinking is of hindrance. You shouldn't be in a hurry. You get Google's trust little by little, and you've got to anticipate on Google's updates. Today, Google has got a threshold of tolerance that may vary, that may be restricted over the years, and the fact of staying natural and reducing what Google is used to seeing, then you don't take any risks for your site. And the last point, that's the 404 mistake pages. I see that often. The 404 error page is a bad sign. Let's say there was a Google link and you have removed the corresponding product. So when you remove the product, you've got to redirect it in 301. So you've got three possibilities in PrestaShop. 301, it's a permanent redirection to a permanent page. 302, that's a temporary page. Well, 302 you shouldn't use, because if the product is not in stock anymore, you might as well remove it. So if a product is not anymore available, that product will disappear. So automatically you redirect it to 301 towards an equivalent product, towards a category page as a second choice. That will be the mother category page of the product, or if I don't have any more such products, then it can be, as a last recourse, redirected towards the home page. I have finished. Thank you for your attention. If you have questions, I'm also here to answer them. I can't see you, so you've got to use a mic. If you've got question. It can be about contents or link strategies. It seems there's a question over there. Question was about people imitating your content. To prevent that, you should control whether they don't mimic contents. There are tools that exist for that that will allow you to detect the contents of your site that have been copied and pasted. And if all sentences are the same, or almost all the sentences, one of those tools will tell you. So once it's been detected, first of all, you contact the merchant who's imitated or copied your site, your product sheet, and you threaten him. You can send him a lawyer's letter, or contact the host and say to the host, your customer has copied my content. And on Google, you've got TMCA requests where you ask Google to disindex the page of the said merchant. Normally, an email is an say you have copied my content, you were not entitled to, so remove that content right away, and they will do it. In your own content, the problem is that, well, spin is to create a master, and then you can play on words, but you can't rewrite your product sheet or spin it every time somebody copies your content. The best is to prevent it and contact the people. It's not up to you to change your content because it's been copied. Another question. The question is, if I've got a product sheet and I copy and paste it in my business, well, on your site you've got to have a content that is unique. Your that site has got to have a unique content. If you're in several marketplaces, then you can have a second content, and people who use My Business, Amazon, etc., may use that content. But you've got to, give a lot of love to the content that you publish on your site. That is the most important. And for marketplaces, etc., well, you show a bit less love, and you propose content that is a bit different, maybe not as much elaborated. Another question? You want to go to the cocktail party? Well then, thank you for your attention, and if you have any questions, even afterwards, do not hesitate to contact me.